Together, we are the Magdalene Rising Collective.
Welcome back. We are pleased to welcome Katherine Anne Clement. She is a Hay House co-author of Anna, the Voice of the Magdalenes. She's a modern Mary Magdalene and a Mary Magdalene catalyst, international teacher and healer, restoring balance through the divine feminine path. And she's made a global impact through her writing, her spiritual teachings, her workshops, and tours. And we're happy to have you here today, Katherine.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thanks. So my talk is going to be a little bit different. It's not specifically focused on Mary Magdalene, but the much larger picture of who we are as Magdalens in present day. Very aligned with Natalia's talk that I just listened to. And a lot of this came about because when I was working with Claire Hartsong, who channeled Anna, who's the grandmother of Jesus, when she had finished her book, Anna, Grandmother of Jesus, she knew there was to be a second book. And she put out for a support team. She didn't want to be sequestered away like a little monk. And the universe, through bizarre synchronistic series of events, put me together with Claire in 2006. And because I do past life regressions, I was trained with Dolores Cannon. We used that format initially to bring in these 19 different characters from that time. And including Mary of Bethany, Mary Magdalene. There's controversy in our book about that. But anyway, in that process, we would occasionally have groups gather for potlucks and channeled sessions at her house. And Anna kept talking to people how they were Magdalens. And so I started researching what that meant. And it evolved into an understanding that many of us are Magdalens. And we are the future selves of those priestesses in Egypt. We're the future selves of the Essenes. We're the future selves of the Holy Family. And that we have, we're bringing to fruition what was seeded 2,000 years ago. So this is what I mean by your Magdalene legacy. Many people don't even know that they're Magdalens. You know, they just might be drawn to it, or a lot of people are drawn or particularly obsessed with Mary Magdalene because it's the doorway into remembering in your soul memory that you have a lineage and a history of past lives of being like initiates in the temple or members of the Essene communities. So in beginning to uncover that soul memory, we each have a part to play and something to contribute to the larger picture. And it's not that you have to remember specifically who you were or, you know, what specifically you're here to do. When it's appropriate timing, that will be given to you through synchronicities or downloads or events. I mean, like I had no idea that I would be in this role of co-author of Anna, the Voice of the Magdalenes with Claire. So it's a matter of tuning in and acting upon that inner direction. Anybody have any questions yet?
I have a question right off.
Sure.
I have a question right off. You said at the beginning that it was controversial, but I'm just questioning, like, in some ways, all of the images or ideas around Mary Magdalene are controversial because they don't match what we've been told.
Right.
So what makes yours different than the one, like, why is yours more controversial than the one that already is controversial?
Okay. When we were bringing through the experience of all of these 19 different characters, it came through that, and Anna said that Mary Magdalene, and I should preface it that she also said all versions are true. You know, we tend to think that history or linear experience is a set, finite, out there thing. It isn't at all. It's individual to the person. So I understood what she meant. And she said all versions that, like in the Bible, that Yeshua was a celibate rabbi, as true as Mary Magdalene being his wife. And our controversy is Anna, who's the grandmother of Jesus, told us that there were three aspects of Mary Magdalene, like parallel lives, simultaneously living on the planet at that time, 2,000 years ago, and that Yeshua had a relationship and children with that more than one person. And we're going, we can't put this out. This is polygamy, right? And in the higher understanding, when I started meditating and information came through that it has to do with the seeding of light, because in the Anna books, Anna talks a lot about the light conception, that children were conceived at a higher vibrational level. Even though almost like in their etheric body, that conception happened, but it was able to result in a physical conception. So this light conception was new. And then the three Marys had to do with the process of seeding the light throughout the world. And in the back of the Voice of the Magdalens, we show how the children with the different Marys seeded like all of these continents around the world. So that's part of it. And when I was meditating on it, I was also shown that Yeshua came in as an avatar. So he came in with full abilities. You know, he still had to bring it into manifestation in the physical world, but he came in basically not forgetting who he was, what he was here to do. And he had an immense energetic field, and that no one of the individual Marys could balance him effectively. So the Mary Magdalene oversoul had three incarnated physical, aspects of herself at the same time that balanced him as an avatar. So that's the really controversial part.
I just want to say right now to the audience here, I am going to be working as a moderator. So if you want to put up your hand to ask a question, please feel free to do so that I'm not the only one asking questions. That Katherine and I will unmute you as we move along so that we can each individually speak and have our questions answered. So I think pre-interview, we discussed that like vibration of a union between Jesus and a Mary. I just like, can you talk a little bit more about that union, if it is not like
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. They each had a different facet to bring through. With that union, it's very similar to other people have been sharing about the Christ-Magdalene union. And the union, both were needed to be able to carry this higher blueprint forward. I mean, you had to have both the Magdalene frequency and the Christed Yeshua frequency to be able to bring that forward. It's not so much about the union, it's about the seeding from the bigger picture. So I'm kind of skipping over a lot of stuff here.
Yes.
So in the bigger picture, when this came through for us, and Claire and I were in a quandary because we were like, oh man, we can't put this out there, right? So when we were working on Voice of the Magdalens, we had these 19 different characters. They're all over the map geographically. They're all over the timeline from Yeshua's early life or before his life to 100 years after all of the characters had died. And we go, this is an octopus. What do we do with this? And we were walking and I had this download. There was a footnote in the Voice of the Magdalene book where Anna shared that there were 11 other avatars alive on the planet at the same time as Yeshua. And I went, oh my God, I get what this is now. They all were going to, produce a light-conceived children. And through these different 12 lines, including Yeshua and the Magdalens, the Christ-Magdalene frequency was going to be seeded throughout the genetic lines, all the way down to the literal physical genetics in all of us today that are dormant. So it isn't just a consciousness, it isn't just an idea. We literally carry the lines, the genetic lines, so we can have the coming of the Christ, and it's really the Christ-Magdalene consciousness awakening today, all the way down to the dormant genetic DNA level because of these 12 avatars and their consorts that seeded this 2,000 years ago. So it's in the genetic lines, it's seeded into all of the elements, it's seeded into the planet. So we can do that because what had happened is before the time that the Christ drama unfolded, the mankind had sank to such a low vibrational level. They had to come up with the councils of light. They had to come up with some way to like resurrect humanity. And they had to have the whole Christ drama and Yeshua and the seeding of these higher frequency beings to come in to be able to influence the masses and pull everything up. Otherwise, ascension couldn't have happened. So that's my understanding of the larger picture.
There's a question in the chat. This threefold Magdalene is actually the original Trinity of heaven?
Well, it can be. I know in some traditions there's I don't know much about it. There's something called the triple goddess. Um, so,
But Yeshua was only here as one aspect or as all the aspects in an avatar holding them all?
well, we're not separate. I mean, he was basically here as an avatar. And what was different between him and the Marys is no individual Mary was at the avatar level when they incarnated on the planet. So they couldn't vibrationally balance him effectively enough as his twin flame. It took the three of them to bring all the different aspects. And Anna told us that many of the stories that are attributed to Mary Magdalene are actually a composite of these three different Marys, of their stories. So some were events or stories in Mary of Bethany's life, some were events in Mary of Tiana's life, and some were events in Miriam's life. So that's what I mean, it's very different.
Yeah, it is very different, but it also, I mean, it also is so expanding. It's such an yeah, it's just such a nice way to take that in. So if this was seeded then to this moment, is it going is it going to tilt in the, like if when things come back into balance, they often swing the other direction. Did you get any downloads about how it comes to this time and space for us?
Well, I understand what you're asking, but that's already happening on our planet. We have, extremes of dark and light, and many people are talking about the war of dark and light. That's sort of what we're talking about, that we have been seeded as Magdalens, and many, many people will never understand or know that they're a Magdalene. They don't need to. Anna told us that all of us, particularly that carry this frequency and align with this, have been rehearsing on the inner planes for eons for the roles we're stepping into today. And it isn't just only those of us that are identifying with like the Magdalene path or a spiritual path. There are many scientists and inventors and people in all realms and walks of life that are also Magdalens who will never know they are, who are rehearsing for their role on the inner planes, just like all of us are, to be able to shift this frequency so that, the Magdalens call themselves the midwives of the shift of consciousness. So we're assisting with our energy and our frequency in the ascension of the planet.
But the
And yeah,
realization, the awakening is not vital. Just carrying it is all that is needed.
well, there's a progression that happens. I mean, you start with just carrying it, and then people are inwardly guided. If they have a specific task or specific piece to contribute. I mean, most of you know this, that, you are put on a certain path and you go, oh, okay, this is interesting to me. I think I'll follow here. And often it's because of the rehearsing that we've done on the inner planes. Does that make sense?
Kind of. And also, it's kind of just right there, right?
Right.
Yeah. It does. It makes all the sense. And also, like, it doesn't make any sense at all. And so then, yeah, it's there. Do ha- in your life, in your time, in your being,
Mhm.
how do you help yourself evoke these knowings? How do you help yourself connect to this?
Um, I mean, I have certain practices. I don't know. I don't want to say it's really a practice, but I have certain meditations and things that I do. It's not like you're trying to gain the wisdom. You're trying to open up what's already there in your soul memory.
Mm.
And, I just ask for Anna and the councils of light and Mary Magdalene and my own councils of light to be present and to direct my life every single day. I set that in the morning. I set my daily light field every morning. And I do certain other things that with the intention that I live that way. And the Magdalene path, very much like Natalia, I was just listening to her, um, is very much connected with, of course, the divine feminine. And the Magdalens are not all just women. In Yeshua's time, the close-in disciples and the close-in Essenes to Yeshua, even though they were male, they were also Magdalens because they're carrying this more divine feminine frequency. So it's not just limited to men. Um,
Mm. And so then also his energy is not just limited. Yeah, his energy is
right,
not just limited to men. Her energy
right.
is not just limited to us.
Yes. And he's a Magdalene too.
Yeah,
Yes.
Magdalene.
Yes. And that's for those of you that are not familiar with the Anna books, Anna, Grandmother of Jesus by Claire Hartsong, and the sequel, which is Anna, the Voice of the Magdalens by Claire Hartsong and me. It kind of covers Anna's impact, and nobody knows about Anna particularly, other than the Catholic Church identifying her as Saint Anne. Um, she lived because she did the ancient Egyptian rites of the sepulchre. So a lot of what Natalia was sharing is in the books. And currently I'm working on the screenplay for both books. And the more adept initiates among the Essenes and Mount Carmel particularly, which is where Anna and Yeshua were part of that community. There are other Essene communities at the time, but they were more patriarchal, like Qumran. So the Mount Carmel community was very unique in that it had a different vibration and different protocols than most of the other Essene communities. So they all went through the initiations in Egypt. They all went through the initiations in the various temples up the Nile, because the Nile, the temples on the Nile represent the spine, and each vertebra and the spine is a different level of mastery, aligned with like your chakra system. And some people could go through in a matter of, months or a year, and some people took them a lifetime to master those and to get through. And some people never survived it, especially the crocodile one. I mean, if your fear or whatever it is overtakes you, you're going to be taken out of that life and you're going to have to come back and do it again. So, in Anna's world, a lot of it was very much part of that tradition. And the Magdalens in Egypt's time were known as the daughters of Isis, which is what Natalia was just sharing. And the Magdalens have been present even before the planet existed. They've been present in all cultures under different names in different locations throughout the existence of the planet. And every time there is a system or a planet that is in a ascension or evolutionary process, the Magdalens raise their hand and they'll go, I'll go, and they come in to assist in the shift of consciousness. And when they do that, they often go into the deepest, darkest places that no one else will go. And I mean, I personally have experienced this. And it's like, well, I'm a spiritual person. Why does my life suck? Why am I in this job or this family or whatever it is? And I was actually in a cult in the 1980s. And so many of us had suffered some kind of abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse. I had a lot of mental abuse growing up because I had a bipolar father. And I'm meditating one day and I'm asking my guides, I said, what is this about? And I'll read you the message I got, because I realized almost 20 years later, this was the definition of a Magdalene. The inner guidance was, you are not a victim, you are a volunteer. It is because of your spiritual strength and fortitude that you have entered this situation of suffering emotional abuse through being born into your dysfunctional family. If you can make it through without your spirit being broken, you will begin to dissolve the mastermind programming that exists there, freeing yourself and helping others to become free as well. So that's like part of the mission of the Magdalens. It's to break the patterns, and it's also to seed the light. And a lot of times people that are Magdalens will find themselves in these horrible situations. Like I said, I didn't understand. If I'm a spiritual person, they don't realize that they're there because they're the lighthouse that is seeding the light for everybody else. They think something's wrong with them. And that's not the case at all. They're the volunteer that said, I'll go, I'll do this.
Well,
And yeah.
I was that you just sparkled something in me, because there is a word in Hawaiian, malama lama, which is like being the lighthouse in the dark. And it's like that is the point, is that we get into the darkness so that we can shine our light there.
Yes.
Right.
And, we're so busy going, what's wrong with me? I'm a spiritual person. Where is the light? Not realizing that you're the one carrying it.
Yeah. We have a comment in here. The freeing is the liberation scholars talk about. It's all about the awakening.
Yes.
Yeah. There's not really any questions as of yet. But we would love some more questions. That awakening within, that light shining, this is a totally another off topic. I've said many times I'm Aries here. Everybody knows I'm an Aries by now. But I did have my astrology read by a Zapotecan astrologer who said Aries isn't light, Aries is the dark.
Mhm.
Aries is the dark. Aries is the bright, shiny in the very darkness. Aries is the birth canal. Do you think we're in the birth canal?
Yes.
Mm.
And the other point I want to make, you can't ascend until you equally embrace the light and the dark.
So you cannot bypass your nasty parts.
No. And that's what many people talk about the shadow work. And that's so much of what Yeshua and the Magdalens and all of those Essenes were about, were going in and totally not trying to push it away or push it under the rug. It's to totally embrace it and get the wisdom and learn the lesson and transform beyond it. That's the path.
That is the path. Do you think, like, I run the women circles, and it's just every woman in the circle is talking about their trauma, about what they've received,
Yes.
how they were broken. It's like almost we got to this point, this crumbling of our feminine selves, that the compost is feeding the new seeding of who we are. That it took a huge amount of women who have been stepped on too much to turn it around. It needs the darkness that we're feeling in this place, in this world.
Yes. I mean, growth doesn't happen unless there's some kind of catalyst, right?
Mm.
So if you think in your own life, usually you don't start asking questions until something is really uncomfortable. And then you're trying to find the answers. And it's the catalyst. It isn't like to punish you. It's to be the catalyst for you to go beyond and to develop your own inner authority because you've experienced it. You walk that path, and you're not necessarily just regurgitating information because you've learned it from someone else or a pug, something. You've learned it through your own innate experience of mastery. So that's what they're all teaching, is whatever form. There's no particular way or form. I mean, it's infinite the ways that people will deal with this and move through the shadow work, but it's like instead of sidestepping it, a lot of people think if they're just in light and love and the light side of it, that's going to do it, but it doesn't catalyze the movement forward and the movement through unless you address those shadow parts and those judgmental parts within yourself.
Yeah. You just remind me of when I was a little girl and I would have nightmares, and my mom would say, "Stop running away from the monsters. Turn around.
Yeah.
Turn around and say, 'What do you want?' And watch the monsters run." Like you actually have to face the dark, right? You have
Yes.
to face the dark. Are the Magdalens connected with the Palladian Seven Sisters?
I can't answer that specifically, but my guess would be yes, because they are a cosmic force. They're not just limited to here on Earth.
Mm.
They're in many systems by different names.
Yeah, I just saw a Mayan speaker who said the seven macaws, and you saying how going down the Nile to the temples and the seven chakras, they're all connected.
Yes.
They're all connected.
Yes. Mhm.
Also, there's a note here that our bonus guest today, Margaret Rigoloso, she's an expert on this. So stick around for her because she talks about the seven.
Yeah.
Can
She's a
she?
friend of mine.
Oh, yeah, she's an amazing force,
Yeah.
right? What an energy. Can you give us an experience of transmuting a shadow pain as a Magdalene?
Sure. Actually, I offer what I call frequency healing sessions on my website. That's katherineanneclement.com. And it's a combination of intuition, channeling, and shadow work. And I work individually with people with whatever issue they're having. We look at what's in the field and how to shift that. So I don't know, I've had so many experiences, it's hard to pinpoint one. But you kind of know when you do the inner shadow work, you know when it shifts because all of a sudden you have a lighter feeling, you have insight that comes in that you didn't have access to before. Um, I can share more with some of the clients I've had. I had one client who was estranged from her only son, and we did a session, and it's not to have an expectation that the external is going to change, but if you go in and you change it within you, oftentimes it impacts the external situation. So the estranged son that was only involved with the in-laws on the other side, didn't include her, didn't even talk to her much. All of a sudden, after the session, she was invited for Easter at his house. I mean, that was like unbelievable. You know what I mean? So the dynamics in those interactions shifted enough that he reached out to her without her doing anything.
Right. Other than putting it,
Right.
her truth out into the world.
Right. And doing her inner work around it.
Got it. Okay, here's a long question. I have a question. Whilst I was in Egypt, I nearly died, and my journey was drastically stopped at Temple Dendera, Hathor's temple. I didn't know this at the time. When I came home, I had so much loss. My life changed 360. I was also downloaded with Hathor teachings. Do you think the lands initiate us? Does the Nile River initiate us? I
Oh,
said yes. I
absolutely.
said yes. Yeah. 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 I say yes to that wholeheartedly and you never know when you're being initiated by a land sometimes, right? You end up in a land and you're like, why was I there? Amazing.
Yeah,
Can you give us an example?
sure. I was guided. Um, Let me backtrack. I have a autobiography book called Raising My Frequency, A Spiritual Journey, Awakening to the More of Life, which is in a large part, not all of it, but the back end story of how the universe put me together with Claire and put me on this path. And in this, I just lost my train of thought. Where was I going? Oh, I know. In this process, I was guided to do these, what I called Magdalene grid activations between 2011 and 2015. And I led small groups of people to these places like Egypt and Turkey and Australia and Isle of Man and all of these places. And I had no idea what I was doing. And I'm going, okay, you want me to do this? I'll show up. You better show me what I'm supposed to do. I mean, and it was awesome. But anyway, after each of the grid activations, I'll read you a couple instances. I channeled a message from the Magdalens about that grid activation, and this relates to the land. So this one, let me see which tour this was. Anyway, I'll just read these two. Beloved bearers of light, for you are indeed magnificent carriers. Nope, that's not the one. They're all good, but anyway. Okay, this one I'll read you. We come from deep within your souls, deep within the Christ-Magdalene matrix, so that new life, new ways, and new understandings may blossom forth, for it is time. The blossoming is coming forth through you. You who have heard our call and responded to our plea. You are the harbingers of peace. You have willingly awakened the Christ-Magdalene matrix, the codes of oneness within you and within the land. We bless and honor each one of you for the grand awakening you are facilitated on the Isle of Man, ushering forth the rise and resurgence of the divine masculine so that the divine bridegroom and divine bride may now weave their sacred and blessed union within souls, within all hearts, and within all kingdoms of the land. Even though there may be turmoil and upheaval, know that this is part of the letting go process. releasing the old structures, conditions, and energy that no longer serves, so that new growth and inspiration may emerge more fully. You have all been instrumental in anchoring the paradigm for the new growth. Know that you are our very heart and soul. You are our extensions in physicality. You are our footsteps upon the sweet earth and our unified heart, collective mind, and instrument of change upon your plane. There are no words that express how much we love and honor you for your service and commitment. We bless you this moment and into forever. Namaste, the Magdalens.
Mm.
And I have one more that's kind of relevant. This was the Ephesus Turkey grid activation that I did. That was the actual ceremony for the activation took place
I
about.
just want to, I'm going to just stop you right there because when I started praying and I said, please give me guidance, my Latin uncle came and said, Ephesus, Ephesus, Ephesus.
Mhm. Mhm.
That was what, and I had a huge journey on Ephesus, so I am excited. Let's hear it. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. I'll read the whole thing. I was only going to read a portion, but because you asked about the land. This was 11/11/2014, the Ephesus Turkey Magdalene grid activation. It's a message from Mother Mary. Beloved strands of my heart, for that is what you are. You each have come here, either in your light bodies or your physical bodies, to my home in Ephesus, for I have invited you here. You are the ones who responded to the call. More were called, but did not heed the signal. The land of Turkey has seen much heartache, and the land has suffered through many years of the patriarchal system. You have reconnected the Magdalene grid lines, allowing a deep, powerful, and beautiful energy to be released. I, Mother Mary, and the ancient ones from Turkey would like to express our eternal gratitude for the activation of the Magdalene grid here. The sweetness felt for this energy reawakened, along with what it did for Mother Earth, cannot be expressed through human words, only through light language. You have walked upon the land that I called sacred, where I chose to spend the last years of my life before my ascension. You came to pick up the codes and energy deeply embedded by me and my Magdalene brothers and sisters into the land here and the etheric planes both within and above the earth plane in this area known to you now as Turkey. Your presence as Magdalens and as strands of my heart has reawakened the energy of the Christ-Magdalene seated in Ephesus, so that all Magdalens may once again bring forth the work of ushering in the new earth, which we and Magdalene Essenes seeded long ago. It is your turn now. I, all the Magdalens, the councils of light, and your own team of unseen assistants are with you every step of the way. We humbly are in gratitude to you for your willingness, your devotion, and your dedication to serve Mother, Father, God. May your life and journeys in the world and this lifetime be blessed. Go forth and be the inspiration to your upcoming generations, just as we have been to generations for eons past. What you will do will influence mankind not only on this planet, but into the far reaches of the galaxy. And you will be known in an even greater, far greater way than we've been known. Go in peace, go in love, go united in the one heart of God, Goddess, all that is. I look forward to personally greeting you when you return home here to the quote other side, as you call it. Namaste, Mother Mary and the Magdalens.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we have a bigger role than we're
Big
aware
role.
of.
And when I searched, when my uncle dropped that word to me in Latin in my head, I had to search it up. Like, what is Ephesus? And I said it to somebody who's here, and she said, well, that's in the Bible. Like, I didn't know the word. I didn't have any attachment to it, but he dropped it to me. And when I looked it up, there's a church in Ephesus, maybe it's the Church of Mary in Ephesus, and still carved on the base, it
Mother
says,
Mary's, there's a Mother Mary's house is there.
but there's a church, a place that is still carved on the base that says Theotokos.
Okay.
She who births is God.
Mhm. Yeah.
Not mother of God. She who births is God.
Hmm.
And and then I went on this whole thing through the Bible with that word. And in that verse, which I'm just saying from the top of my head because I don't quote very well, but she did say you cannot possess the power you easily give away. I gave you all the power, but I cannot give you the power that you give away yourself.
Right.
And that's just so, and if you take that word, instead of taking that word as a word of Jesus, if you took that word as the word of one of the women, it certainly hit home for me. It hit home for me. It changed my life. Like if you give your power away, source can't help you. Source won't help you with the power
Right.
you give away. Okay, there's another question. Before
Mhm.
the past life regressions with Claire, what was your path or relationship to the Magdalens or Mary Magdalene?
I didn't really have a conscious relationship because before I was put together with Claire, um, I had been on a spiritual path since I was 16. But I wasn't focused on any particular thing. I was involved with channels. If those of you have heard of Ramtha, I was a student of Ramtha in the very early days before the school was created. I was very much trying to fit in, find where I fit in. And I was interested in channeled information and metaphysics, and I wasn't interested in anything remotely Christian. So the universe had to work really, really hard to put me together with Claire because I wasn't interested in Mary Magdalene or Jesus or any of them. I was raised Catholic. I ditched it when I went to college at 18 because I thought, where's the devotion? Where's the energy? It just wasn't there. They were all talking about, what everybody was wearing or doing. I mean, there was no depth to what I was experiencing. And I thought, man, I'm done with this. So that's what I mean. The universe had to work really hard. And that information is in my frequency raising book. But I had an experience with Master Saint Germain in a physical body in 1982 in Boston during a Ramtha dialogue. And Claire had an experience with Saint Germain in a physical body in the Grand Tetons in 1987. So that was the connecting point because finally I was at an advanced DNA healing workshop in 2004, and the teacher stood up and said she read the best book she'd read in years called On a Grandmother of Jesus. I thought, not exactly my subject matter, but she was so passionate, I thought I better go check it out. Well, it blew me away because this was the first thing that ever felt like truth to me. And in Claire's afterwards, she talked about meeting Saint Germain in a physical body. And my guides were like, email her because her email was in there, which I did, but I didn't get a response back until like 6 months later. I'm going, who am I? I'm a peon that went and bought the book, right? But Saint Germain engineered getting us together eventually. So I was basically hired as her spiritual partner and assistant to work on the second book, having no idea. I was just there as the help. But then the Councils of Light had a whole different plan in mind to use the initial format of the regression sessions to bring forth all of this information. So the whole trajectory of how I was working shifted. And that's in my books, the Anna books. And just to let you know, I'm pretty well through it, but we've combined both books, and I'm in the process of writing a multi-season, multi-series screenplay on the Anna books at the moment.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's really
That's
exciting.
exciting. There's lots of chats in here. I'm having a hard time keeping up, but one of the comments in the chat said God and good, and I have to speak to that myself. Although you're the one being interviewed, but I want to say that I found this old Bible where I've been searching through these words, and in the concordance, I was like, I'd never even explored a concordance of a Bible. I've always been reading the word, not the concordance. But my uncle sent me to the concordance. And so I would say everyone should look up the root meaning of Ephesus. That's one thing that I'll say. And in the concordance, because somebody said it here, it did say in the Bible, we will often remove two vowels to save room, such as in the word good.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, wait, what? 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 And you just have to find an old Bible that actually says, oh no, we were saying like God, and really we meant the good, and it included you and me and all of us and
Yeah.
all. Yeah, amazing. Do you have any recommendations? There, somebody had asked, and I can't find their exact question now, but trainings or learnings or how to dive deeper into this, mentors. Is it through you, will you discuss that with us? Like,
Well, one of the things that's available, about a year and a half ago, I had somebody approach me about facilitating a book study group for the Honor books. So we currently have it. It's on a public YouTube channel, so anybody can join. Right now, we're reading both books. On Tuesdays at 5 o'clock Arizona time is the Zoom call. We're doing the second book, Honor the Voice of the Magdalens. And then I record it and then I post it on the public YouTube channel, which is Honor Books, plural, study group. So you can find all of the videos there. And we have people from, it's a small group that's usually between 10 and 20 people on the call, but they're from all over the world. We have people from Australia, we have people from Vietnam. We take turns reading like a couple paragraphs of whichever book we're reading in. And then whatever comes up for people, we start sharing. And it's the most incredible, in-depth conversations and explorations that happen that are just amazing. And everybody feels closer to each other in this Zoom group than they've ever felt with anybody on a Zoom before. And I hear that all the time. And then anybody can join. There's information below the videos of exactly how to join the YouTube Zoom call for that particular call. You don't have to you can jump in wherever we are if you want to do the live in-person Zoom. If you want to just watch it from the beginning, it's somewhere around March, I think, that we started each one of the books. We started on a Grandmother of Jesus for a second time through because people had such an amazing experience the first time.
yeah.
And then I think it was March or April, you can kind of go back. And one of them for Anna, Voice of the Magdalens, which is the sequel, it's called the Sedona group because they originate out of Sedona. And for the Anna Grandmother of Jesus book that we're doing right now, it's the Phoenix group when you go on the YouTube things.
Oh, that's cool. This is not a question, but somebody says, I'm a certified scriptwriter. If you need to send it or if you want to help, you need any help, please reach out. So we have somebody raising a hand to help.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Please put your information in the chat.
Yeah, we'll go dig it in. And I would be remiss to say that the Magdalene Rising also runs a book circle, and Anna is in the next round of books
Oh, cool.
in our docket. We're going to get a little taste of what that is when we're finished here. So it's super exciting. What would you want the women? I'm trying to read the questions or read the chat, which is blowing up, by the way.
Mhm.
Everybody is super into this. What would you want us to just come away with, to like let us marinate in or really soak in from all of these transmissions?
I think it is to realize that we are, like I said before, the future selves of all of these people we've been talking about. And it's the culmination of 2,000 years of the seeding that took place during the whole Christ drama and all of these different, characters and whatever, and that we each have a part to play in the complete unfolding of what's happening. And we affect the land. We are the midwives of the shift of consciousness, whether we're consciously aware of it or not, that we are, part of the ascension of the planet. And one of the things that impacted me the most that I heard from Anna, that's not in any of the books, she made a comment when we were working together. She said, Mary Magdalene and Yeshua during the crucifixion, they are the only ones that never for 1 second lost their coherence. They never for one fraction of a second allowed their vibration to sink into doubt, fear, whatever isn't in unity. And they were able, because of all of their training, they were able to maintain that coherence all the way through. And she said, everybody else, some only momentarily and some for lifetimes, have lost that connection. They've sunk into that separation consciousness. They've sunk into the fear and the discord and the doubt. And then you can't bring the coherence forward if you're still in that doubt. And for many people, it's caused such trauma in the core of their being. They're still carrying that wound. And we can move beyond that. That's part of the inner work. And in my daily life, I always try to catch myself whenever I start doubting or, I have a good friend of mine who has known me for a long time. And, I've had a lot of financial challenges and health challenges and other things. And she goes, when you're on, you're most amazing person. But when you're not on, you're a mess, So that's true for all of us. And it's like when we're a mess, like we have to, address what is that can bring me back into coherence, into that field of unity and that field of love. And there's no judgment, right or wrong. We can forgive ourselves and then just make a different choice in the next moment that happens. That's part of the training that we can all do.
Yeah. And as a circle facilitator, our mentor would often say, there's nothing wrong here.
Right. That's
There's
true.
nothing wrong here. There's
Right.
nothing wrong here. The discourse that it's all divine. And if we can just allow ourselves to be with it, to really be with it, to not jump over it or scooch around it, there's nothing wrong here. Amazing. Lord, please bless this mess, says Aaron. Please bless this mess. Please bless this mess. Ah, so lovely. So lovely. I was thinking, I wrote down here, midwifing the shift. I wrote down midwifing the shift. When we're midwifing the shift, that doesn't actually have to be action that we take out in the world. It's more action we take inward.
Both. I mean, first of all, inward, but then, there are things like in my life, when I was put together with Claire, I had no idea I was going to step into this role. I mean, sometimes it's just listening to things that sound crazy to you to do, or when I started doing grid activations, I'm going, what the hell is a grid activation? How do I do this? You know what I mean? But yet I was being prompted by my inner core, inner self to do this. And I just kept putting one foot in front of the other and allowed what wanted to emerge or show itself. And it's been the most extraordinary journey because I was willing to be in the not knowing and take the next step anyway. So
what do you do to help the knowing, to smack down the knowing, shut up knowing, the part of us that thinks it knows the right path, the right way, the part of us that pre-plays what's going to happen, what's going to go wrong, puts all the energy towards the plan B. How do we shut that up?
I mean, you just have to, first of all, be aware it's happening and then go, okay, I want to try to control this. I'm trying to control this and make sure I know every option before I step into it. And you just have to have the grace to give yourself permission to be in the not knowing, because then spirit has a place to fill within you.
Mm.
Otherwise, if you're busy trying to manage it and control it and have all of the answers preconceived, there's nowhere for spirit to enter in and give you something different.
Right. It's like you're saying to spirit, I know best, I got it. And spirit's like,
Right.
okay, you got it. Because you thought you wanted Dave, I was going to give you.
Right. So, just give yourself permission to be in that less comfortable space of not knowing
Mhm.
for the moment. And then something will come forth and will guide you or
Hmm.
ask for whatever it is that wants to come forth.
Mhm. Ask. Do you have there was a question in here which I didn't pull up because we hadn't discussed it ahead. I don't want to, but
Mhm.
asking source, could you run us through a short, like what you do to bring in the ask of source?
Sure.
Okay, let's go for it.
Okay. So just for a moment, close your eyes and center in your heart. And know that your heart is an interdimensional portal to all dimensions, all aspects, all life. And whatever it is that you most want to know, you can call upon your own consuls of light, which are the guides that interact with you on a daily basis. Or you can go anywhere within the consciousness and ask a specific person or whatever it is that you want to know, and just ask them to clearly download to you. It might not happen in the immediate moment, but to give you an experience and let you recognize what that experience is, whether it's immediate or whether it happens down the line a little. You need to give it, the universe, the parameters, going, okay, let me know what it is that I need to know or understand here, or who it is or what it is that I need next. And just ask that to be given to you with grace, and allow yourself the space to not be impatient and to just be in the knowingness that it's going to come at the most appropriate right time. And thank yourself.
Thank you. Do you ask for a specific sign?
Not usually.
Mm.
I mean, sometimes if there's something very specific, I'll ask for a sign, but they're trying to help us be in our heart and not such a slave to our mind trying to figure everything out. We have to develop that sense of trust within our own self, which comes from the heart.
Mm.
And, they're saying to me right now, just be less hard on yourself and think of it more as a game. Not that it's a game really, but it's okay. Let me see how uncomfortable, not that you want to be uncomfortable, but let me see how much in the unknowing state and in the isness I can be to allow something greater to be presented or to unfold to me.
Mm. What you just said in the uncomfortable, and as a way too Aries, I think it saves me my leaping because
Mm,
I throw myself into my own uncomfort. I am 57 years old. Nobody near me has died. Nobody near me's had cancer. Or my dad has had cancer 3 times and gotten completely remissed. Like he has cancer free. I think that, and sometimes when we throw ourselves into our own discomfort, the universe doesn't have to give us those lessons.
right.
That we give ourselves our own lessons, and if we allow ourselves to be, I mean, I think I'm blessed by my trauma, my trauma made me used to losing it all. And so I have been unafraid to leap. over and over and over again. And I've been unafraid to start over and over again. And so it's a big gratitude to the trauma that gave me that. But because of that early childhood trauma, I haven't had to experience that much of it as an adult. And
Yeah.
I really give it to that. I give it to that part of me, the part of me that throws myself over the cliff over and over again.
And that's the path.
That is the path.
Hmm.
That is the path. It was just a year and a half ago. There is no way that if you said, Carrie, will you be on a screen talking to 100 women about Mary? There is no way.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. You followed the inner prompting, whatever that led you to this point.
And I want to speak one more thing to that because
Mhm.
it's like when you say like, oh, I want to, universe, give me a coffee or whatever, and you don't even like realize that like the generosity, you miss it. And I just spoke that out loud this week because when I started the Magdalene Risings petitions in the morning, I said, I'm going to start this because I want to increase my daily writing practice. I want to increase my chanting and communion with Mary. So, and I want to be a writer. So I'm going to start this so that I like morning pages, I write every day. And here we are. I started that in November. Here we are. And I'm like, oh, Carrie, you don't write enough. You don't finish petitions and sit down and write every day. And then all of a sudden I thought, but your book comes out tomorrow.
Yeah.
But your book comes out tomorrow. Wait, what? I got my ask. I got exactly what I asked. Not in how I thought I was going to get it, not
Yeah.
in the path I imagined I was going to take it.
Hmm.
And I just spoke that like 3 days ago where I was like, but I'm still not a writer. Wait, what? So sometimes we have to also open our eyes wider to the receiving.
Yes, absolutely. And get out of our usual patterns. I mean, that's getting out of a pattern going, oh, yeah, my book comes out. I need to shift how I'm viewing this,
Yeah.
you know.
Thank you
And
so
you're
much.
talking about books. I just hadn't mentioned that I have published 9 books. Some of them are co-authored, some of them are my own, and you can find them all on Amazon. If you put my name in Amazon, you'll find all my books, and on my website, CatherineAnneClement.com.
Yeah, I saw a lot of links for the book clubs and everything popping into here. So, yeah, fabulous. And I think there is something, the passwords is I am light. There's some other things popping around in there. We are going to continue this discussion. Catherine, we would love to have you continue the discussion with us, but you only promised to be here with us till the hour, and I'm holding you over as it is.
I know.
But we are going to continue the discussion the way that we discuss in our book circle. So I'm going to ask Linda to come on and guide us through some continuing of this talk. But we actually want to hear voices of everyone because part of the teaching of Mary, all the Marys of the Magdalene, is that we all are the well of wisdom,
Mhm.
right? I don't, we aren't to be looking towards gurus. We are supposed to be, so we want to share all of our words. So Linda, are you
Sure.
ready for it, Linda?
All right. So I lead our book circle, and we do that every week on Thursday. We're starting again in September. And I am a master circle facilitator.
Mhm.
And when we were talking, we had just a little bit of background. We had a little book club that we were doing through the pandemic, and we were looking at a lot of self-help books. And I noticed that when it was a bunch of women just getting together on Zoom, to this day, I still haven't met most of them in person. And we just for 3 or 4 years we had that book club. But I noticed during the book club, before I was going through mastery with the circle facilitation, that not everyone talked. And when people did talk, they were cut off, or other people, it was like, oh, the conversation went a different way. And so in circle, it's a little bit more structured. And so it gives everyone the opportunity to really say what they want to say about the subject matter, and facilitate a discussion, but it's a kind of a safer format. It's a safer place where you're not, there's a discussion facilitated where you might say, "Oh, I hear what you're saying," and then go into what you want to say. And so it's really an opportunity for you to discuss the text and the books, but to also kind of be your own medicine around what the context is you want to talk
Mhm.
about, what you took from it, what you're getting. So I just wanted to give you a little taste of what we do. And I'm going to actually start with our opening and I will close it just to give you that circle facilitation. And I am going to ask a few questions that I took from our discussion with Catherine. So when we open, we do invite the presence of Mary Magdalene, our guiding light and teacher, to join us today. May her wisdom and love infuse our discussions, open our hearts, and bring us closer to our truth. We also always take a moment to honor and express gratitude to the incredible authors who have risked so much to share these books with the world. They've challenged the patriarchy and social norms. They bring Mary Magdalene teachings to the light. And their hard work and dedication have paved the way for us to explore and embody her wisdom, and we are forever grateful. Let us always be guided by love, wisdom, and the eternal light that shines within us all. May this circle be a safe space for self-discovery, healing, and profound connection to our true selves. With gratitude and reverence, we begin this journey together. And as Carrie did, if you were here for this morning with prayer circle, prayer petitions, we usually stitch in and we'll say what we're bringing. You know, days get crazy. We pull out of our chaos and we come to circle to talk about these texts. And then from there, usually I will write, usually I prepare because we are reading a book and we're reading it by chapter. And every week I put out, hey, we're going to read these chapters this week and we'll have the discussion around these chapters. And the beauty of this, which we found in circle format versus a book club where you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't read. I don't know. I don't want to come. Usually I will kind of from each chapter we're reading, I'll give an excerpt. Like here's the gist of the chapter and here are the questions about
Mhm.
the chapter. So with that, then everyone can come to the discussion. And even if you come in at 10 minutes after and you miss the first question and or you miss the excerpt,
Mhm.
usually the question is put up and it is something you can speak to. So that format seems, I mean, the format has been very, for me, it's uplifting to be able to facilitate because it's a way to talk about these books. And we talk about Mary Magdalene is definitely our focus, but we have talked about all the Marys. We are open to talking about the spirituality of bringing Mary to the forefront. What Catherine said earlier when she read about that we are here, it might make me cry. We are here during this time and space to reawaken, to bring this to the world. I was like, that's it. That's why I'm here. I don't need, I mean,
Right.
I, I have not been able to put it into words, but those words were perfect.
Mhm.
And so just give me a second here because I'm going to put the first question up because that is one of the things that, so usually we talk through, like I mentioned, let me just copy the question so I can put it in the chat.
And I pulled up the timer, Linda, just so you know, so we could
Yes.
have answers.
And that is one of the things. So one of the things we do we have an hour and a half each day that we meet for circle and for book circle, sacred book circle. And when we do in the circle format, there's a limited amount of time. Now it is usually 2 to 3 minutes. And depending on the topic and depending on the size of the group, we make a determination like, oh, there's 12 people here today. We have this much time. We can take this much time per question. And obviously, if someone's in the middle of the thought, it's like finish the thought and then we move on. And it works really well. But let me put this. I used Catherine's talking about the grid activation. So the question is, we come from deep within. I took excerpts of what you said, Catherine, that spoke to me. We come from deep within your souls. It is time. The blossoming is coming forth. Harbingers of peace. We are facilitating the reawakening. And the question simply is, what does that mean to you? How does it speak to you?
Me individually
To,
You
to
could go,
or in general?
yeah,
you
to
could
the
go first for 2.5 minutes, and then we
course of
could
your
hear
life.
from everybody.
Yeah.
I think that's unique to each person. There is no set thing. I mean, each person is on their own individual journey, and we're all in different places on that spiritual awakening. So it's really, wherever the person is, it's kind of like I said earlier about there's no one way, every version is true. There's the person that still thinks that Yeshua is a celibate rabbi that doesn't even entertain that Mary Magdalene is his twin flame and his wife, you know. So there are all these different versions. That's an example. And you deal with where you are. And when that no longer satisfies you, there's usually some unrest. And then it's like boxes. We need structure. So whatever we need will come in, and you're a little thing and the box is really big. And then you keep expanding your wisdom and your understanding, your experience. And pretty soon you fill the box, and then you're really uncomfortable until you blow the box entirely, because that no longer fits you. And then you're into whatever the next. We need structure. So then the next person or teacher or system or whatever will come in, and you go, oh, this is great. And the same thing keeps happening, where you keep expanding who you are and your wisdom and your experience until you've gone beyond the limits of what you are doing then. And then that falls away. And the next thing comes in. So I see it as that's how we grow. And so it totally depends where the person is and what box they're swimming in at the moment. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mhm.
In circle we put up, yeah.
And then we are, after everyone shares,
Okay.
so it just gives you, it's just like letting
Yeah.
you know, we heard you, we hear you. And it's a way in circle to acknowledge
Okay.
our sisters and brothers. We have men in our group as well.
Mhm.
Mm,
Some of our circle.
mm.
Would anyone else like to unmute and answer? Or
I'll go. I'll go because I'm Aries. To me, the midwifing, the opening of this time, um, I get so stuck in my head, like that I'm meant for more and meant to be bigger. And I remember when I first started, like I would wake up in the morning to a voice in my head that would say, rise, Carrie, rise, rise, Carrie, rise, rise, Carrie, rise. And I didn't know what to do with that. And I called a friend from high school who's a psychic. And I was like, I don't know what that means.
Hmm.
Like, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to bring forth? What is the lesson? What do I know? What I'm just, I always just thought I'm just a stupid blonde girl. I'm
Mhm.
just a stupid blonde girl. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And then I lost the word stupid. And then I lost the word blonde. And then I realized that all of the conditioning was an aspect of my truth, but that there's almost nowhere to fit in the aspect of my truth without the shame.
Yeah.
So then I dropped the shame. And
Mhm.
I dropped the shame, and I started to ask my soul, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And it started to answer. And she started to answer. And then she came. And so I I don't know what rising meant. And I just don't know what the next step is. I have no idea where I'm going on this path. But I know that when I'm, like you said, when I'm asked, the answer is yes, if I feel it. And if the answer is maybe, the answer is no, hell no.
Mhm.
The answer is no, hell no. And that's the only way that I know how to open up to
Mhm.
the next part. Yeah. So I am complete. Mm.
So in the chat, we have some people that
Mm.
have commented, and one is Francesco says, "I've been just beginning to love the fact that to love the being I am and loving the light I bring to all those I'm around. I'm learning to enjoy and flaunt my light. I am her and she is me." And that's beautiful.
Mhm.
That is beautiful.
I can go. What does this mean to me? I feel like this always happens to me. I always have like in my head these two these two parts like arguing. And there's part of me that's like I've always felt it in my bones. There's things that since I'm young, I just feel I knew. And as I get older, I'm like, oh, it makes sense that I knew because I don't know if it was Catherine or if it was Mercedes, but one of you said that we are those women coming back now, these people that are coming back now. So I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense because I've been here before and I have some of those cellular DNA memories that are within me. So it just makes all the sense. And then there's part of me that's like, were you trying to be special? Are you, it's like you hear so many people saying, oh, the Jehovah's Witnesses, the coming back. And it's always like these big things. And throughout history, there has been people saying big things are going to happen and then nothing specific happened. So I'm torn between that of like, yes, I am here to help facilitate this reawakening. And I struggle with that part of me that's like, well, who am I to be special to do that? So it's very controversial, and I think it depends on, I guess, how connected I am in that moment. And as I'm saying it, I'm like, I should trust what comes up when I am in a good vibration, a good frequency. And yeah, so I'm answering my own my own things right now. So yeah,
Can I address that?
sure.
Okay. So I have two things I want to say. One of the things I became aware of through my own journey, I mean, we're especially through religion, being raised Catholic, or many of us, we're taught to be small, and we're taught that it's part of our ego if we, you know, but it's not. I mean, there are two different things. There's becoming overblown ego, where you think you are superior to everybody else. But the other thing I began to learn as I stepped into this is I needed to keep re-imaging myself. I needed to keep allowing myself to become a larger version of myself, to be able to hold the energy, the frequency, and the codes that wanted to come through and be imparted through me. And if you keep yourself small, you don't have the container to do that. So it's giving you permission to allow yourself to expand and become larger and become more of who you are, to be able to bring forth what it is that wants to come through you. And the other thing I was going to say about this path, when Genevieve was talking, or Genevieve, I don't know how she pronounces it, but anyway,
Yeah.
is I had an inner knowing that I had a mission of some sort. And you know, I was told I would be healing the hologram, and I'm going, what on earth is that? Tell me what that is. For 8 years, I kept going, okay, I don't know what this is. I'm not being shown anything. Nothing is happening. And then I thought, okay, I finally thought, maybe I'm making this all up. Nothing's really there. And then it was like lighting a match. All of the synchronicities just happened like so fast to put me together with Claire out of the blue. And we forget that we're on God's timing, that if you think about aligning what they have to do, how many people, events, places, synchronicities have to come together for the exact right moment to allow whatever it is that we're supposed to step into to be available to us. We think it's something we're doing wrong. It isn't. It's that we have to realize that there is a cosmic universal timing that has so many factors that, the councils of light and God are figuring out. And we just have to be open to the right moment for it to unfold, for us to step into it and let go of any thought that there isn't something there or it's something we're doing wrong.
Yeah. That's good.
I saw a hand raised, Mary. Pat, if you would like to go.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Katherine Anne. It's so funny because I sat in the book club with you for the first time last week, and I was going to say, it's so interesting that your name's Katherine Anne, just like the lady in the book, because I hadn't read the book until I got in there.
No, I
So
was a co-author. Yeah.
yeah, so sorry that if I dishonored
okay.
you. I'm so fresh and new to all of this, so I giggled about it for a long time over the last couple of days. But I'm really thankful to be here and to hear you speak more. And I just wanted to say that my experience has been that I have been much in the masculine, just in my career and my body, everything, and had just an event where my body gave up, and I had to pretty much give up everything because of that experience. Came out of it, and uh, Yeshua came to me in my living room last year and opened the ceiling. And I'm someone that walked you talked about the person that only knew the rabbi, like, yeah, that's me. I'm just learning, these new ways, right? And he came and opened the ceiling, and he made it as if I was in a Norse longhouse, like a Viking longhouse, with all the masculine and feminine mixed in that longhouse, the community, And he stood over the dome and he said, he beckoned me. He said, "Welcome to the Great Hall of the Mothers." And I was like, oh, I don't even know what this is. I don't even know. I get a Reiki session with someone, and what I would call the Heavenly Mother that the LDS talk about, she sat on me in the midst of it. So I'm just having all these experiences, and I'm just brand new to all this. But there, like the person before said, there's a knowing. I mean, my name's Mary for a reason, right? So yeah, so thank you, and thank you for letting me open the space for my novice baby comment.
Yeah, you're less of a novice than you think you are.
Yes.
It's in your soul memory.
Mary Sophia, would you like to go next?
Hello, everyone. I'm so thankful for everything that is happening with all of you and us all, because this is it. This is what we are doing, and it is time. And I am feeling called to share the grandmother song, which I learned in Mexico. It's from Lemuria. They say it is over 80,000 year old, and I sing it 3 times for the Sacred Feminine. I learned it in Spanish, so I started with that, and then English, and then I translated it to Norwegian, North Norwegian. Okay. She wants us to share, wants me to share it, so I just have to.
Absolutely, please do.
Thank you. Abuelita, enséñame luz. Abuelita, brilla en mí. Abuelita, ancestral sabiduría. Abuelita, maestra enseñadora. Mueve en mi cuerpo, haz brillar tu luz. Vive en mi cuerpo, diosa divina. Grandmother, show me your light. Grandmother, burning me bright. grandmother, ancient and holy grandmother, teaching and showing, moving my body, let your light shine. Live in my body, God is divine. Bestemor, vis meg dette lys. Bestemor, brenn meg sterkt. Bestemor, gammel og helig. Bestemor, alter i fortelling. Rør i min kropp, la ditt lys skinne. Lev i min kropp, hellige gudinne. Hellige gudinne, hellige gudinne. Oha, oha, oha. Tusen takk.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing. That was amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I see, how do you say Shiomi? With their hand up? Can unmute? Can we unmute Shiomi? I see you, but I can't I don't see you're unmuted. Oh, there
Yeah. Wow, where to start? I've been doing mediumship and healing for maybe since 2008. But my real awakening, even though I was connected to spirit, getting messages from loved ones and healing and things like that, knowing my guides and things like that, the real work started, the awakening process, the undoing process for me was when I had cancer in 2020. And after going through all the treatment and then on the road to recovery, obviously I've done a number of things, holistic stuff and things like that, spiritual, medical, all in the one. And then through meditation, I was doing a course on shamanic, fire ceremonies and things like that. And then in meditation, Yeshua came to me and he called my name. And then he's been in my dreams a few times over the years. And then he told me in a dream, it's time, Debbie, you're ready. And I didn't understand it when he said that to me, but I now understand it. Because I've had to go through the undoing process at a soul level, getting into your own underworld, your darkness, healing your relationships with the men, the masculine, the feminine. Wow, it's been such a journey, but it's really, I can't explain it. It's quite hard to understand, to put it into words. But it really had to bring me to my knees. I had to get rid of my own stuff, get into my own underworld. Oh, wow. And then my connection has got stronger with him. And then I was aware of Mother Mary coming in. And then after Mother Mary, it would be Mary Magdalene. So, yeah. So it's continuous. The journey for me is continuous of that undoing process of becoming, a sovereign, going back to love, really, awakening the own inner Christ. So, yeah. And this has guided me to this group, and a group in Sedona, this Christ Consciousness Centre in Sedona, the group called the Daughters of Heaven as well. So it's all kind of, I had to go through that, understand it now at a soul level. So it's very, opening my heart, and Jesus came in and told me that I'm healing parts of your heart and everything like that. So I totally understand the journey now, but before and ever, even though I was doing spiritual work. So, wow, it's just amazing. And just to meet so many different people here. And Katherine, I've just got your book on Amazon. And I want to join your Zoom group. So I'm looking forward to that. So it's all synchronicity. It's all how that orchestration, as you were talking about, divine timing and putting everyone together for that reason. So thank you so much, my beautiful sisters and Katherine. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your share. What beautiful sharing. Zena, do you want to share?
Hi. Okay. Well, I just had the idea of sharing a message that I channeled from Hathar years ago, but this isn't about Hathar, so I don't know if it's okay to do it or if anybody wants to hear it.
Sure.
Okay.
This is a space where, and this is how I just want to, we'll give you your time for sure, but it is a space when we do it, it's a space to talk about the text, and the texts that we go through. Sometimes they bring up things that we remember. So we are happy to hear it. Thank you.
Okay. I am Hathar. I am the divine whore, the pious one, pregnant with divine love, drenched with your love, filled with divine love, every life and limb of me. I am the divine lotus, within the divine rainbow. I am the divine rainbow. I am yours. I am the beloved. All goddesses are one, pregnant with God's love, expecting more, extending more, being more. Thank you.
Beautiful. Okay, do this. And so we have a few minutes left before we go to break. Either we can continue with this question, or I can put another question in the chat. So, okay. Let me grab one. So this one, I was paying attention to what Katherine was talking about. And this is what came to me as far as another question. I'm going to edit, paste it in. So the question is, how has your own soul memory been activated? What practices do you incorporate into your daily life that you could share here for a few minutes?
My soul memory? That's me?
You're welcome to be the first to share.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know if it was addressed to me or everybody.
It's to everyone, but we would love to hear from you.
Okay. It's been an evolving process. How do I say this? You know how you just have things you experience or things you know, but you don't know where it came from or how you know it, but you know it absolutely is true. The more I've stepped into this path, the more often that happens. I say all the time, I'm so grateful that, my thinking mind doesn't know what it's doing or doesn't think it knows what it's doing. But I say I'm so grateful I open my mouth and I get in the flow and something comes out. And I'm just so grateful that willingness, again, it's like being in that not having to know state, but just being present with what wants to come through. And then all of a sudden it just drops in and flows out. So that to me is a, part of the soul memory. We might not remember everything, but I think what is pertinent for us to bring forward or know in the moment comes through. And to not have an expectation that you're going to know all of it, or you're going to, to just let our mind relax, and everything it thinks it needs to know, what's important will show up. And if you're open to receiving that and letting it flow through, it'll be there for you.
Thank you. And again, we want to thank you also for staying for this part, because we know we kept you over your time, but everyone is so happy to have you here and to hear from you. So we really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Would anyone else like to comment on that question?
Linda, will you throw it back in the chat because it got buried pretty fast? Just or repeat it or read it out loud again.
How has your own soul memory been activated, and what practices do you incorporate into your daily life, if any?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
I'm really lucky that I was raised with practices. I'm really lucky I was raised to like clear my energy and to protect my energy and to zip up my chakras and but when I decided I wanted to be more dedicated, I started by ritualizing the mundane. I started by ritualizing the making of my coffee. I started to ritualize the washing of my body. I started to ritualize my shower to make those things that I do every day be a prayer. And I asked in my prayers, make me a walking prayer, right? Like, so I don't get in there like, "Oh, I gotta get this done." I get in there and I'm like, shed the layers that don't serve me. Like, please, water, take this away, take away from me. And those practices did turn into more and more and more and more. And I don't know, I think I still get on myself like that I don't practice enough, which is such an interesting heaviness that that I carry. I don't in circle I language is far more important. I carry this weight that who am I to think I'm reverent or a priestess or a goddess, or who am I? Who am I? And I have to also take that to the mat. I have to take that to the mat every day. Like, who am I? I am your creation. I am your daughter. I am that I am. And yeah, so and it just activates in me again that grace of that there's no perfection or right way to follow the way, your way, the way, Yahweh. Yeah, I'm complete. We have Jen has a hand up.
Yeah, we have a few hands up, so.
So what practices do I incorporate? I don't know that when my soul memory was activated. Like I said before, I kind of came in here very young. I had neighbors that were into cosmic sciences and did so like right away there's all kinds of seeding that opened me up. Like I was talking to spirit guides. I was like naughty, like the primary school. So but the way I continue the practices I do is something I learned in my priestess training with Natalia is feed the feminine first. So that's like in the morning, instead of running to the phone or doing, just being and coming back to that empty presence and the stillness and, getting all the chatter off and just sitting in silence and doing things that are gonna feed my feminine side. It could be movement, it could be intuitive writing, it could be meditating, but just taking that time to set the tone at the beginning of the day to be in the feminine before jumping into masculine and running around with all the busyness of 2 jobs and 4 kids and all the things. So that's my share. Thank you.
I see Jim, Mary, and Gina, Diane. Jim, would you like to go? I'm unmuting Jim. For some reason, it won't let me unmute. There we go. Yeah.
No, I could try. Or Jim, can you unmute
You, Jim?
I got it. Okay.
Thank
Great.
you.
Well, first of all, just thanks to everyone. And I have the extreme good fortune of living in Sedona, and I'm part of the Katherine Anne's crew that we meet. And I've not been in a group that's so moving as these Anna books. They have completely just blown me away. And obviously my path is assimilating the divine feminine in myself and letting that grow, and as well as assimilating my divine masculine And I am constantly in the process of balancing that out. And I realize now I've been at this for half a century now, 50 years. Started with the Seth books back in 74, 75, and then the S training, and then it just like exploded. And I was very much involved in A Course in Miracles for quite some time. And just, the path of who am I? And this little stint now that just started in Sedona has just been absolutely incredible. So thanks, Katherine Anne. It's always great hanging with you. So, and I just want to put it out there that we should all put some energy so she can sell her house in Phoenix so she can move up here to Sedona where she wants to be. And I thank you, women. Thank you, women and feminine everywhere. And I'm just deeply grateful that I've been open to this energy. I have a partner who is in this 100%. So I'm on the bus, wanting to balance. So thanks so much.
Thank you for sharing. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm in Scottsdale. I might have to just get in the car and come up there.
It's well worth it.
Yeah.
We have a ball. We have a center where we do classes every morning and every evening, and they're all on Zoom, and we've got people from all over. So
Amazing.
the more the merrier.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you. We have a few minutes left, and we have Gina Diane. Let's go to Gina Diane, and then we'll finish up with Mary Sophia. Can we unmute?
Hi. I think I'm unmuted, am I? Yes, okay. I met Mary Magdalene for the first time when I was 10 years old, and she comes to me in dreams and oracle cards, and especially in my writing. And for my practices, I keep close to her. I start each day with Carrie's circle, the writing prayer circle, and doing the beads. And then during the rest of the day, sometimes it's like a full-blown conversation as I write. Other times it's just lighting a candle and doing some anointing and knowing that I'm there. I try and keep my words as intentional as possible using word power. And I walk barefoot when I can, and just try and connect with her as the divine feminine in Mother Earth, and all through throughout my day. So I find that I really like that question, Linda, and she's been very meaningful in my practices and what I do. So thanks very much for asking.
Mary.
Well, I was born and I was a child that didn't cry or anything. I was just sitting in my chair, keeping my hands like this and making a noise, doing, so I was making energy balls from a very young age. After I learned to speak, I went mute. And when the world took over, and I'm probably echoing everyone else also who's gone through all the trauma, I closed up. And yeah, I had a super awakening in 2009 when I was 28, of course, the 777 change. I didn't eat or sleep for 60 days. And I was called first to Tibet, but it was so hard. I had a conversation about that too, about God as the universe. but I was called then to Guatemala and Mexico. So I had been embodying Maria for a very long time, but in a change in this after my awakening, I had to go into the masculine a lot, to be the light warrior, to help a lot of people, and also the energies. But since 2022, well, my body has been, a wreck, of course, with all the traumas that has been transmuted through me. But then my entire organs and everything inside collapsed. So since 22, I've been a hermit and doing a lot of healing, shadow work, and I'm feeling that I'm ready now. Yes, I use everything every day. Everything is a ceremony. Absolutely everything. And I'm very into what words, time's up and everything. Yeah, so just blessings to you all.
Thank you for sharing. We have time for one more share because we have our next speaker up. So California Chantel, you'd like to share, and then we'll wrap up and move on to our next speaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to share. I am just so very touched by your, I'll just be uncensored, your teachings, your wisdom, Katherine. It has touched me deeply. And the Magdalene Rising Circle, each one of you in your own unique expression, just moved to tears. Gives me permission to be who I am, and confirms the path that I've been on, of knowing as a young girl that the Catholic Church was not my path and was too limiting, and my practices have always been to tune into the silent presence and feel my vibrational field, feel the resonance of them. I've been called to the Marys for a long time. I didn't know anything about Mary Magdalene, but I felt the call, and I feel like I've just been so infused by her presence and her wisdom and her grace through each one of you. And I love knowing that it's not about any one person, that each one of us is a Mary, and that my practice of surrendering to divine source each day for guidance as my light along the path is on track with my soul's knowing. And I'm open here, and I'm looking forward to joining both of your book groups and learning more and being in this field with everybody. I just feel the heart presence of everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And yes, welcome to our book circle, and you're welcome to Katherine. I want to once again say thank you to Katherine for being the inspiration for my part today. And I really do appreciate you being here. And it's a little scary when the author's in the room, a little more scary. But I'd like to also stitch out with our closing as we would, and then we'll move right on to our next speaker. May our hearts remain open, our spirits aligned, and our actions guided by the divine light within us all. We close this circle within a circle with immense gratitude, knowing that we are always divinely supported and held of our own free will and with divine harmony and grace. And so it is. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me.